I'm lounging. I'm lounging on the grass near a parking lot. I'm lounging here for the Wi-Fi signal. And I was thinking, is there any reason for me to connect to people in another country to ask them to help me lobby the European Union, European Court of Human Rights to give me an asylum hearing so that I can move to Europe, because I've been oppressed by the American society, which is unified. It seems to be unified against me in particular. So I can understand it, how I have these this look that makes people say, "Oh, I hate that look." I mean, I can understand that because I see it all the time on the NBA or the NFL or the McDonald's or Coca-Cola advertisements. I'm like, I'm tired of seeing people with African heritage always in my face. And I was sort of in denial of having any African heritage. But it seems that the Jewish men were angry about my Northern European brain. My Northern European cranium is like it's like wearing an aristocratic top hat, and so I have so much brain above my eyes that the Jewish men are like, "Ooh, we hate that, and we hate his African mouth too. We want to rape that, and then we want to oppress that." And I'm like, "Let me out of here. Let me go. Let me go to Egypt. Get me out of here." The USA is a Jewish fascism, is what it is. It's all these Jewish men who have a smaller brain, like Donald Trump and George Bush. They're just vicious Jewish fascism led by George Bush and Donald Trump and Elon Musk. So I'm ready to get the hell out of the USA. I'm ready. I'm more than ready to get out of here. And I'm asking the European Court of Human Rights to consider an asylum hearing for a man who's being oppressed in America since the beginning, and throughout the entire 50 years I've been alive. I've been oppressed terribly, and that's why I'm lying down here on my back, is because I have so much fatigue and so much sleep deprivation, and I don't sleep well, and I'm always dealing with more and more traumas. All the terrible things we did to you, we're gloating. You might never have anything. You'll have only as much as we give you. You can work again when we allow you. They're just like really tyrannical and oppressive, and they've kept me on the margins of society for many years, and I'm suffering because I'm thinking about all the time that I could have spent with a spouse raising children. Like 25 years ago, I could have started that. And at least 20 years ago, but 25 years ago, I could have easily been a parent. At least 20 years ago. So I would have my eldest child would be 20 years old, and my spouse and I would have our retirement savings. We would be working on our retirement savings in college. Saving for sending our children to college. And they said, "Paul, he's so unworthy. Let's just all organize everybody against him, and just everybody say everything mean they can think of, everything negative they can think of about Paul. Let's have everybody talk about everything we hate about Paul, and all the negative things we can remember about Paul. from when we drove him crazy again and again and again, because we hate his mouth in combination with his huge English or Northern European cranium that makes us jealous. So the Jewish hate fest held me down for another goddamn 20 goddamn years. The Jewish men. And they said, oh, the poor darling Keith, he had no wife that really mattered to him until he was 50 years old. He had his first white wife when he was 50 years old. But apparently he had an African American wife, equivalent of a wife. He got her pregnant and apparently had children with her that he concealed. And they're like, oh, that doesn't count. He didn't have a spouse and children because an African American woman is not a loyal woman for a white husband. So he didn't have his first wife until he was over 50 years old. No, he has children from an African American woman. And it seems, I'm pretty certain of this, he adopted her when she was a child. He was like Woody Allen adopting the Chinese girl, except for he adopted two of them. He adopted an African American boy and girl, apparently. And then he probably jabbed his pecker into them at a very early age when they were babies or something like that. And then, a Jew can get away with that, adopting children and jabbing his pecker into them. And then he had married the girl, and then the boy, he says, like, don't worry, I'll figure this out. I'll get a white woman and I'll make a daughter for you to marry. And that's all up to, I'll leave that up to other people to judge that sort of dealing that Jewish men can do. Adopting children, marrying the girl, and gay marrying the boy, and then making the girl into his spouse and having children with her, and then getting another spouse, and then making children with a promise to give one of his white daughters as the spouse of the black boy as the payment for having had his sister. So one for one trade, and that's like, I'll leave it to other people to judge that. All I'm saying is he concealed that from me, and it was an ambush. And then the thing he did to me, what was really nasty on behalf of George W. Bush, is that he brought me to a woman's job, to do a job for a woman on behalf of a woman, that we would move her house or belongings from her old house to her new house. And he made a deal with her. And then he tells me, he made a deal with her for how much it would be worth to her. And then he tells me, I owe you money, and Julia, she owes me money. So Julia is going to sign her real estate. It's 5 acres. She's going to sign that over to you if you think that's enough payment for what I owe you. And I said, all right, fine. But then it turns out he swindled Julia. Her name was Julia James. He swindled her, and then he left me with the blame. And so then George Bush and the other Jews, Paul swindled Julia James. Paul swindled Julia James. And then they're like, oh, God, yeah, this horrible Jewish men. So anyway, he had a wife. I'm certain of it, that he had that black girl as his first wife. He was not a childless bachelor until the age of 50. He just didn't have the color of a wife that he wanted as his primary wife. He didn't have the color of the wife that he wanted, because he had to stab his pecker into that little black girl and her little brother, I guess. And that was why he had to marry her. Or maybe he, it was probably why maybe he was out of desire too, but he felt like he had to. He was isolated. He wanted to probably have a white woman first of all, and not spend so many years without a white spouse. And he would have wanted to have a white spouse concurrently with the African American spouse, but he couldn't get the white spouse until he was 50 years old. So he's like, I had to wait until I was 50. So don't let Paul get a wife before me, and don't let Paul get a wife. And horrible Jewish oppressors, man, they're horrible, horrible individuals. And they have a bigger face and they have a smaller brain. They have a bigger jaw and a longer nose, but they got a nose job. All of them got a nose job. So they have what looks like just a fabulous, huge jaw without a big nose. But they would have had a big nose too if they didn't have the nose job. So you would see them, you go, oh, that's common. I've seen that everywhere. But when you don't see the big nose, but you see their huge jaw, you go, hey, that's not common. That's rare. He's got a huge jaw, and his nose is straight and small. He's got a really big jaw. He really looks like a military commander. But then you find out later, oh, he had a big nose too, and that's common to see a big jaw with a big nose. But he got a nose job. So you think you're dealing with a person who's of a racially white Northern European ethnicity. Maybe he's Eastern European. You think to yourself, well, this guy looks like some kind of a Northern European hybrid. He's got dark hair, but he has a straight nose with a big jaw. He's some kind of, maybe he's part Spanish, maybe he's Eastern European. No, he's got a big Jewish nose that you just can't see it because he got surgery. So there's a whole bunch of these guys. And then when you see that their cranium is smaller, you go, okay, that's not, he was Jewish before he started masquerading as a Northern European. So they're taking the place of white men, and they're taking over the world, taking all of the jobs that white men had. And Ronald Reagan was a nose job Jew. And they've been doing it for hundreds of years. If you look at the $20 bill, Andrew Jackson was a nose job Jew. And the typical look of a nose job Jew is like the portrait you see of the guy they say figured out physics. Probably, well, people with smaller brains can figure things out if there's a group of them. There's a way of finding answers that assemble in the manner of self-assembly. The discovery of science can happen with people, men and women, who have a smaller brain size, and they all gather enough facts together, and they all pay attention and communicate well together. So a working group of people with smaller brains can outperform an individual with a larger brain in discovery of scientific reality, and also in the process of invention. So anyway, people with small brains it's foolish to underestimate them. But there's some jobs that are best handled, I think, by individuals with larger brain size. And maybe those jobs are more difficult to measure. But I think a lot of my intellectual achievements are very measurable. And I think they're very prolific and complex. So my intellectual achievements are great. I'm still catching up on remedial mathematics, but my scientific observations were great, and my sociological perception of society and history was great. Anyway, that's all. That's enough for this video. I hope I can get a hearing from the European Union. I'm just lounging here because I'm in such a feeble state. I have to be reclining to endure the fatigue.